22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to Black Westchester Magazine presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. on InTheMixRadio.com. I am your host, A.J. Woodson. Black by popular demand, Damon K. Jones is always on the mic.
Yeah.
You want me to talk for you today, man?
Nah, man. I'm trying to handle some business here. Trying to figure out what the hell's going on, man.
Our roving co-host and intellectual thinker, community activist, and all-around shit starter. Dr. Robert Baskerville is in the place to be.
Yo. AJ Damon, what's up, y'all? How y'all?
Yeah, what's up, man? Come back to me in about 5 minutes. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Some shenanigans is happening right now.
As always, we are on Facebook Live. My page, Damon's page. I'm sharing it on Bob's page right now. And it's on People Before Politics page. You can share it on your page. We got a quick change up in the lineup. We had State Senator George Latimer coming into the studio today. Got caught up in Albany. They working on the budget thing, and they never got a chance to get out of there. He will call in today, just to call in, but we rescheduled him for May, I think the 21st. So, we're gonna look forward to that building with him. Mount Vernon native, going on to do some big things, running for county executive. So that now narrows the rate. We had Ken Jenkins, as we told you. He was the first to come out to announce that he was running, and he got the endorsement of the Yonkers Democratic City Committee. Then Mike Spano officially announced that he would not be running. And there's another one, Amy Pauling. I think that's pronounced.
You talking about Amy Pauling running too?
She just announced that she is not running.
Oh.
No, because she was another one. Mm-hmm. And the other one they're speaking about is Tom, I think, State Assemblyman.
Abernathy.
Yes, there you go.
Abernathy.
So those. So right now, but the only official two on the Democratic side right now are Ken Jenkins, who came out, and George Latimer, who's coming out now. Those are the two for the Democrat to challenge Rob Astorino, who is trying to go back for his third term. On his way to running for governor. Because that's what his goal is, to rerun for governor. So, I don't know how that works, but anyway, that's what's up. Bob? What's been going on the last week? What you been up to, bro?
Let me see. I mean, of course, always continuing with teaching.
Right.
And
now, what do you teach? Where do you teach again? And they heard you. They hear the doctor they hear you are a teacher. What do you teach? What do you what's up with you?
I hold a doctorate in sociology, and I am a professor of sociology
Okay.
at some local area colleges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soon I might. One day he's gonna start a semester, and I'm gonna be sitting in his class. He could be like, "Oh no,
Hell no! Don't bring that shit up in here, man. Shit, ain't enough room for two bad motherfuckers in the classroom."
I'm like, "Excuse me, Mr. Baskerville."
Right, I'm gonna have to just sit in there and what do they call it when you sit in the class? You what do you call that when you're allowed to sit in the class? With,
Oh, you're going to audit. The
yeah,
class.
I'm gonna audit that class. I'm gonna have to be in the back and audit that class. Yeah, that's what's up. So I know, so you teach and you're doing the things, and now a lot of people don't know. Some people know you, and some people don't. You've been kind of heavy on the community activist front for a while. Like you one of them shut them down cats. Like you might not do the marching and all that, but you want them shutting down buildings type. Like take over buildings type dudes. Like from what I read, when I heard,
Right. Well, I do have a long history of involvement in insurgent movements in New York City, going back to the CUNY student strike of 1991, where I led, along with several other people at Bronx Community College, a shutdown of buildings for 3 weeks that really did get the attention of the New York State legislator, probably a little bit before Senator Latimer's time. As a matter of fact, I used to sit opposite the table of the then president and former Tuskegee Airman Roscoe Brown as we battled.
Okay.
So yeah, but I've been involved with a number of sort of leftist organizing efforts, including the Black Radical Congress, and others. So this is par for the course.
So you a lifelong obstructionist.
No, that would actually not be the best way of understanding this. Community activists try to undo the obstructionism that the two-party system largely visits on our communities, keeping them in a stranglehold. One of the things I did mention to you, AJ, because I am a scholar, and you may not often get that from my rather inflammatory words here on the show, but
He said, "I am a scholar." Don't forget that.
Every now and then I do.
You have to let your PhD show.
Yeah, go into more impartial scholarly mode. And one of the things that I have shared with you over the past couple of weeks, AJ, in our personal conversations outside the studio, is the findings that I came upon reading a book about a biography of the Jewish community in Mount Vernon by a Mount Vernon native, Daniel Perlman. It's entitled Only in Mount Vernon, and as I pointed out to you, Perlman recounts that in 1934 there was a survey. During the height of the Depression, there was a survey of the number of unemployed people in the city of Mount Vernon. And he points out that one of the most dramatic findings of the survey was that the black unemployment rate in 1934 in the city of Mount Vernon was double that of the white unemployment rate. And he goes to point out that it has remained the same since then, cutting across both Democratic and Republican administrations. And the reason that I bring this up is because leftists have long ago concluded that neither the Republican Party nor the Democratic Party actually has a program that would provide for full employment for all people. And there's no better illustration of the failures of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party for that matter, than the terrible state that certain segments of Mount Vernon are in right now. And if anyone wants to know why certain folks like myself are raised in hell, it's because the playbook that the Democratic administrations of late have been reading from is, it doesn't work. We need a new playbook, fellas. So for all of you who feel, because some of you have heard that I've been involved in efforts to try to me and y'all, others of us, have been involved in efforts to try to start some sort of independent effort to reintroduce competition into the political system in Mount Vernon. That's why. Because Mount Vernon's political system is broke. And we can continue to ignore the obvious signs, but as long as we bury our head in the ground, there'll only be more bodies to follow behind us.
I agree.
Yo, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that once I just sent AJ something. But after you finish your scholarly talk.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. My scholarship only go but so far, man. Come on.
But I do agree, and first of all, Sandy Bernardi, I see you, brother Tahir, peace, brother. Brooklyn is in the house, brother Tahir. Sister Najib, I see you. Yes, she's on the check-in. Michael Hannon's on the check-in. Kevin Bunt's on the check-in.
Yes.
We have to talk about. I think, and everybody, if you're listening, please hit the share button. Share it on your page. This is one radio show that is totally independent.
Hey, Cruz.
And Cruz in the Mix Radio, totally independent radio, and this is a radio show that's independent of the bullshit. So we are not controlled by anybody. This is paid for by us.
On board and on
and
boss.
That's right. We're on board and on boss, and we give the truth, and we speak truth to power. One thing we need to definitely talk about, not just in Mount Vernon, but I think when we talk about the political process, Bob, we need to talk about term limits, right? And we need to talk about advise and consent, especially for Mount Vernon. And we also need to talk about districts, having districts for, instead of citywide elections, for the councilmen, they should be broken down into districts. So it'd be more competition and more accountability, and so we won't have career politicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, we can't have the problem with Mount Vernon and the problem with the country is that we have career politicians that's been in for 30, 40, 50 years. Why are you there, for 30 years? And you're trying to tell me that there's nobody in your district that can do the job.
Right.
I mean, as much as I love and respect Ernie Davis, but the day that he said that there's nobody that can do his job better than he could, it was a total mistake. Much as respect for him, but, we're not saying, Richard Thomas got voted in and he clearly maybe proved Ernie right.
At least he proved that Richard
Thomas. Right. At least, well, Richie proved Ernie right that he couldn't do the job. But as far as, we need new ideas, man. And if you see that, a lot of politicians, their ideas are stagnant, and they stay in the ways. And we see that, everything is crumbling for the average person. And then we turn around, 20, 30 years, you go in, an average person, and you come out 20, 30 years in politics, and you're a millionaire. How does that happen? How does that happen? We need campaign finance reform. One thing that's going to happen with the city council race, this is probably going to be the most expensive.
The city council race could be more expensive than the mayor races.
Right, ever.
Mm-hmm.
In Mount Vernon, when I first ran, it was they said, oh, this is about $10,000. Now cats are spending $60, $70, $80, $100,000.
And on behalf of a media outlet who takes advertising, on behalf of all the printing places and T-shirt companies, we thank you.
Well, yeah,
that's who's going to make the money. That's all the T-shirt companies, all the printing places.
Well, I was going to say while Black Westchester may benefit as a business, and there's nothing wrong with that, from that kind of the infusion of money into local Mount Vernon politics, Damon is raising the issue because it really does mean that ordinary grassroots citizens are at a tremendous disadvantage.
Right.
Absolutely.
None of us are raising $100,000, and we
absolutely.
all know that money is coming from essentially well-to-do outside special interest groups that they probably don't even have any real connection with the city of Mount Vernon, except that
or anywhere. I mean, it's just not even Mount Vernon. It's everywhere. You know, when you're looking at when you're looking at the money that people have to raise, you know, it's far-fetched, from the average person. Like one lady was saying, well, you know, Trump is a businessman, but Trump is not the first businessman millionaire to come into politics. They've been doing it for the last decade. If you look at a lot of the governors that govern these states, they are millionaires. You understand what I'm saying? You know, Cuomo ain't no average Joe Blow.
right.
Do you understand? Cuomo ain't no average Joe Blow, and most of these people that run for office, they're millionaires. They're millionaires. You know, I mean, Donald Trump was right when he said, listen, I hang out with all y'all guys. Yeah, because they all hang out and they all have the same interest. It ain't the average. It's not the average person. You know, and that's what I didn't understand. You know, when a lot of the Democrats was like, yo, Hillary, you know, especially the black ones, Hillary is for us. She don't know shit about us. She live in Chappaqua. It's only 3% black. How the fuck she know about me? She don't know shit about me. She don't know what I go through or any black person go through. She's far removed from real black life and what people go through as black people. You know, so don't give me that. Maybe give me that she's gonna fight, but don't say she knows what we're going through. She has no damn clue. She has no clue, and most of the black politicians don't have no clue unless they came out of that. You know, right. but then if they've been in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 terms, they're far removed from that anyway. To really come back and say, yo, we're going to change the things, because if they're from it, they should know about it. And we see in the legislation, you know, that they pass or they fail to pass. You know, they fail to pass, or they fail to stand up for. You know, I mean, look, I'm happy that Ken's running. You know, and part of me, I wish he makes history. You know, but I think Ken, like many other politicians, have failed to stand up on issues, speak truth to power, use their bullet pulpit on issues that actually affected black people in Westchester County, because they wanted to play politics. You know, and I think that's the problem with black politicians. We don't have a lot of them, but you know, the few that we do, you get in there on the vote of black people, because majority of times you're in black districts. So if you can't speak truth to power, then what the hell we need you there for? You know, what's the purpose of you being there if you can't address our issues? You know, to me, the strongest black politician or politicians that are in New York right now is Charles and Charles and Inez Barron. They're the only one that stand up and say what needs to be said. Other than that, you know, everybody want to shuck and jive and play games. So I mean, you know, this is where we're at. You know, we are in need for those that are elected by us to really stand up for us. And if you feel that you can't, or you feel that you may not get enough corporate dollars or campaign, you know, dollars, then you know what? Just let us know that from the beginning, and we won't vote for you. See, we got to start asking these politicians the hard questions. Ken's going to get him. Come on the show. Ken's going to get him.
He knows that too.
And so is Lattimore or whoever else want to come on the show. Maybe they don't want to come on the show anymore, but that's all right. You know, but we have to start doing that, man. We have to start asking for term limits. We have to start asking for campaign finance laws. You know, we got to start asking that because we're literally pricing ourselves out of politics, the average person.
Right. You know what was what I found to be interesting that has relevance to this, as I've been fortunate enough to do some more research as of late, that actually in the city of Mount Vernon during the 1930s and 40s, there was far more competition, and within the political process, the formal political process, as a matter of fact, the Communist Party, the American Labor Party, and other third-party organizations were able to field candidates who would carry the issues of working people and who specifically understood that there were very serious limitations that hobble capitalism and that disproportionately hit working people. And they called for very, very vigorous programs and imaginative programs that make out many of the proposals that I've seen today to deal with some of the problems in Mount Vernon pale by comparison. I was telling AJ the other night, after World War II ended, and they were talking about doing the housing construction in Mount Vernon, there was a proposal to start a cooperative housing program for returning war vets, which is one of the proposals that have traditionally been made on the part of leftists to try to limit the effort to just wring every single bit of profit you can out of people for any commodity that you sell them, including housing.
Right.
You know, our housing right now, I just read a report the other day that said Latinos and African Americans, large swaths of them, significant segments, are paying somewhere on the order of 40 or 50% of their monthly income in the form of rents. So people are being squeezed tremendously, and quite honestly, there's nothing that I've seen that comes from the Democratic Party, which is the party that I'm inclined, that I have the most in common with ideologically, that I think is going to really address some of the problems that we're facing. And everyone should be aware that one of the big problems now that is that has lots of scholars unsettled is the prospect that there will be a major collapse in jobs over the next 5 to 10 years as robots and artificial intelligence begin to make inroads in so many sectors. It was once believed that this was just going to hit blue-collar workers, auto manufacturers, those types, but now there's increasing evidence it's going to hit white-collar workers as well. So we are in for big, big problems, and as far as I can see, the so-called, political geniuses in Mount Vernon right now, the Spezios, the Lafayettes, the Thomases of the world, I don't hear them proposing anything that's going to solve those problems. I could ramble on if you want, AJ.
No, we were just listening to, intellectual.
The people are like, yo, get Bob off the air.
We listen to Intellectual Conversations by Dr. Bob. So yesterday, was it yesterday?
Oh, and let me just point out something, AJ. I'm sorry. Everyone, the New York State Legislature enacted legislation in the 1940s and 50s specifically designed to eliminate competition from smaller third-party outfits. And so it's not a mistake that the Democratic and Republican parties have a fatal stranglehold on our communities. And one really needs to raise the question, why was this ever allowed to happen in the first place? Why should we put a thumb on the scale so that the Democrats and Republicans can, emerge victorious with these ineffective programs that they keep on peddling to our communities?
So yesterday, was it yesterday? So yesterday they had, I went to a couple of things this weekend. Friday, the Mount Vernon City Council had a special city council meeting. And afterwards they had a special Board of Estimates meeting. Which, after being up all night editing and working on the site, got me to City Hall at 8 o'clock, which you can imagine what that day looked like. So, to the point that someone, they wanted me there. But anyway, so what they did, they held the city council meeting, and they approved, the city council actually met with the DEC You know, you've been hearing a lot about what the mayor has said about the DEC. So this council met with the DEC themselves, and I guess there was a $50,000 fine or something like that. And the council made a deal with them, give it to you, give you 40, give it to you in the next 2 weeks, something like that. And they said yes. So they went through, and they, you know, had to have a special meeting to approve the payment. You know what I'm saying? Controller's office brought it up and everything. You know, so the city council meeting ended. Then there was a call up from the mayor's office. So going back a little bit, George Brown was suspended from the mayor's office for his behavior or whatever. So when they went to schedule the meeting for Friday, they sent the letter up. Hey, welcome. They sent the letter in. Saying that George Brown is now allowed to attend the meeting, and the council had already scheduled it for the city council, so they continued to have it there. The mayor did show up, signed the thing. They did the whole thing, so the check has been signed by all parties and will go out. Then the city council had their first real town hall meeting on Saturday, which I have to say, I think overall it was decent. I think a lot of people got questions they needed answered. I think this is something that they need to do more like quarterly, and they need to do it outside of the city council in different areas, which is something that they talked about doing. Most people seem receptive to it. Only time will tell if it was effective, because, you know, they're running up against the big spin machine of the Thomas administration, which is strong and long. So we'll see what happens. I've got mixed reviews from people that were there, and I'll run my piece later. Going back to what y'all were talking about, Kevin Bunch, who's listening, said, it all started with Dem Chair Reggie Lafayette pushing these tired candidates in our face year after year. People got tired and voted for change, but the change got worse than the status quo.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And we'll get into that
another time.
Another time. We'll get into that deeper. I want to introduce these brothers here, man. I've grown up around them, Greenberg superstars, man. And I hung with their younger brother, and I didn't even know that y'all guys was Atlantic Star. It was crazy because my mother's playing your music, you know, and I'm home and I'm hanging with Chris. I'm seeing you guys, and it didn't dawn on me till the whole video thing started kicking. Right, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? And it was good, man. But being a young person in Greenberg and having your brothers out there doing what you do, you know, gave us hope.
First off, you got some Westchester legends.
Yeah, Westchester legends in the house. Atlantic Stars in the house. Atlantic Stars in the house. People Before Politics radio show. But I wanted to say that, and we was talking earlier. What was that, Tyrese?
Oh yeah, Tyrese redid your song.
Yo, he jacked it up. We was like, yo, Tyrese, right? Don't do that, man.
Yo, so I'm familiar with y'all in a different way. One of my partners, Brian Maribel, I did Conscious Brothers with him, and his younger cousin that does music. I can't think of his name right now. They were all talking about, that's all I heard about, what y'all were doing. Yeah. And there's another cousin too. Starts with Tehran. Yeah. Huh?
That's our nephew.
Okay, yeah. So he was talking about working with y'all and everything, and so I worked with all of them on different levels, and I was one of the co-owners of Conscious Brothers with them, and opened the store for them in Harlem on 125th Street when we had a spot. So I always was familiar with y'all. I just never ran into y'all, but I always heard all the stories. So you know what I'm saying. So it's an honor to actually have.
But introduce yourself to the listening crowd.
We're not taking any calls.
No, we ain't taking any calls. We're not taking 30 minutes.
For at least the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to take any calls.
I see a couple of callers call in. We're not taking any calls right now. Oh, wait. I'm expecting one. The senator.
Oh, he's calling now.
Yeah. Let me just see if it's him real quick. He was scheduled to be here. People Before Politics, please state your name and your purpose for calling.
Yeah, hi, Senator George Latimer calling. Yeah, Jay, how are you tonight?
How are you doing? We were scheduled to have the senator on today, between 6:30 and 7. But he got held up in Albany. I'll let you tell that story. And we rescheduled him for May 21st. But he still called in anyway, just to chat it up real quick. And we have the group Atlantic STARR in the studio right now.
Oh, wonderful! Love their music, man. Outstanding. I'll be short and sweet.
You don't miss a beat.
No, listen, man. I'll tell you, I remember it very well.
Nah,
I remember the girl I was dating in those days, but it's not my wife now, so I got to remember.
Don't sound too fond.
Anyway, just very briefly, we're up in Albany. The budget negotiations have stalled, and it's over an issue that's very important to the community, and that is the effort that those of us who are Democrats are making to raise the age of criminal responsibility from 16 to 18. There is 48 states in the nation that treat you as an adult when you hit age 17 or 18, but New York's not one of them. And you have a lot of young people who make a mistake early in their life, and it haunts them for the rest of their life because of the way we handle those issues in New York State. So, I may not be there with you tonight, but along with Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who chairs the Senate Democratic Conference, and Westchester legislators like Gary Pretlow and others, we're fighting for something we think is very important in the community and holding out until we get what we need.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we'd like to commend you for your effort, Senator.
We're looking for.
Well, hopefully, have some good news for you, and that's what holding out is for, to get the right results.
That's good.
Absolutely. And just officially, I've heard you on the phone on LoHUD and on the phone at FIO. So you have officially dropped your hat in the running for county executive.
Yes, I am. I grew up on the south side of Mount Vernon, AJ, as you know, from the post that I made, and I lived in Mount Vernon through 10 years after high school, since the 1980s. I've lived in Westchester almost all of my life. And, you really need to look at this county as a whole, not just the part of it. There's a wealthy part of this county, and there's a lot of people doing very well. And sometimes our policies focus only on those individuals, and they neglect the people that are off on the wayside. And when I went back to Mount Vernon a month ago and I drove around, I looked around the community, I know that is a community that in some ways the rest of the county has forgotten. It's a wonderful community, and with some help, it can come back. And that's what you should be doing in the county, focusing where you need the help, not just, coasting on the tide where things are well.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, we scheduled you for May 21st. Definitely gonna have you run down your platform, ask you a couple of real tough questions, and then introduce you to people and have you tell the people why they should vote for you.
Terrific. I look forward to it, and I look forward to shutting up and listening to more Atlantic STARR.
All right.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Have a great night, folks.
All right. Take care now.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
That was State Senator George Latimer. He threw his hat in the race for county executive against Astorino, who's running for his third term.
No, but he's going to have the primary.
Oh, he's going to primary first.
Yeah, it's going to be him, King Jenkins. Right now, it's him and King Jenkins.
And right now,
it's going to be a very interesting race.
And we still have Tom. Let's pronounce his name again.
Abernathy, I think.
Who's on the fence whether he's going to run or not. So anyway, it should be a definitely interesting race, and we will, of course, People Before Politics in Black Westchester, we will keep you informed. We will definitely ask the tough questions and give you the opportunity to make an informed decision when it comes to hitting that ballot box, not voting for somebody because they cool or they sound good or they was from Mount Vernon or, they black. I'm just saying, but you don't have, what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just being overall, what I'm saying? I'm just being overall. Like,
give me some other reason to vote for you, please. Those reasons just don't work as like
I don't want to pick one
to.
side. I won't sound like I went after one side and then go after the other side. So, what I'm saying? But I want to be even with that. But, we have to stop. Because, for real, we had... Lauren Reyes was trying to beat me up because I said I wasn't going to vote for Hillary, and she told me I was sexist. I said, no, I just don't think she's a good candidate. That don't make me sexist. You know what I'm saying? So that means that anybody who didn't vote for Barack, they were racist? No, some people just didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't know, man. I mean.
Yeah, but there were some people that were.
Yeah, well,
and there were some people who were sexist. But just because I didn't want to vote for them, don't make me sexist. I just didn't believe she
was just a bad.
She was a bad candidate overall.
The Democrats have to come to an understanding that Hillary was a bad candidate. Once they just come to that realism that she was not the right candidate for the time, then I think everybody can move forward. We're gonna blame Russia. We're gonna blame everything. We're gonna blame the FBI, Toomey, and just saying, listen. a lot of people just wasn't feeling Hillary. And that's how Trump got in. And even Trump was surprised he won.
Actually, absolutely. He was like, "Oh, I got it." We got a couple of
all right.
We got a couple of people real quick. D. Wilson said, "Oh, good evening to David Jones and AJ Woodson," and she said, "I have everything they ever made, and I am playing the playlist, Atlantic Stars."
Civil Shadow.
Yeah, she said she's going through the playlist right now. And we got a couple other people say, "Ooh, Atlantic Stars." So just got people checking you out right now.
Yeah. So, give us for those who don't know, like give us a history of Atlantic Star. How the group was started, and how did y'all just move forward, in the music business and stay relevant, and stay relevant. And after the time period, like, what did you feel R&B is when y'all guys was on the road, and how do you see R&B now?
Okay.
And pull your mic closer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You good?
Yep.
Okay.
So, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Wayne Lewis, one of the three Lewis brothers in Atlantic Star, and I guess I'm the key songwriter and producer, along with my brother David, which he's not in the group anymore.
Okay.
Full-time ministry and doing excellent. And but the group started as a 9-member group in Greenburgh, and it's crazy because the actual Atlantic Star emerged from 3 groups. The older guys are called New Band. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, New Band in Greenburgh.
No.
And the other group was called South Road Connection. Now, Sharon Bryant came from the group South Road Connection, and Porter Carroll and my brother Jonathan and a bunch of other guys, the older guys that came from the group New Band, and they played basically jazz, funk, jazz, rock, And my brother David and I played R&B and pop. We came up studying classical music, and we grew up in church, so we got the gospel background. And so it was a good merge because we knew every facet, every type of music that there was. We learned it. So when we became Atlantic Star, they almost didn't know how to market us because we could play everything from country western to R&B to gospel to pop to classical, So we took that pioneer move to L.A. in a van. And as a matter of fact, we all came from Woodlands High School.
Okay.
But
That was your high school name?
Yeah, that's my high school, man. Yeah.
Word, he was.
Nah, I was reading the text. I heard it.
He trying to be cool about it. Yeah.
Nah, I was reading the
He
text.
didn't want us to know that.
I heard it.
All of a sudden, he ain't say that. So
I heard
He
it.
ain't want to shout out.
he ain't shout out on me.
No, I was reading the text. When your wife sends you a question, you're like, huh?
And let me just say, so Damon was saying, they were trying to stay relevant. One of our listeners, thought you said that they wasn't relevant and said, "Don't make me choke you." They already defended them.
I love it.
That's good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Woodland High School. That's where we were.
Yeah, Woodlands High School, and then we took a journey to L.A., taking a chance on getting a record deal, pooling all of our little funds that we had, and a hope and a dream and a prayer. And long story short, we ended up taking a meeting with Herb Albert, who is the A in A&M Records, and we played on this soundstage, on the Charlie Chaplin soundstage, and after one song, he took my manager in the back, and we had a deal.
That's what's up.
But of course, that was
Yeah, that's
most high, hooked that
right.
up. So, and then the hits started coming. The politics has always been a bad thing, especially back in the day for black groups.
Right.
And I want to say this without getting too deep, but you know, there's a lot of things going on in the industry. If you ain't a part of it, they ain't gonna put you down.
Right.
And if you are,
Yes.
Right.
So we were never a part of the club, so to speak. So the whole industry used to wonder why these guys are not super duper stars. They're all waiting for us because we were the last of the Mohegan self-contained writers and singers and musicians, you know, all in the same group. And you know, they told us several reasons why we probably wasn't superstars, because we, long story short, wasn't part of the whole thing. Right. But we just kept writing the hits, and the people kept supporting us. They tried to stuff us from videos back in the day, and the people still loved the music so much that a lot of people never even knew what we looked like, except for the album covers.
Really?
But they still loved the music enough, and the jocks loved the music enough to keep it pumping, even when the record companies and the politics tried not to push it anymore. Wow. And that's why that's how we stayed prevalent all the time.
Right. Don't make me start humming songs.
Listen,
back
man.
to the discography. Yeah, I mean, I have to say that while y'all may not have been bona fide superstars in some, you know, abstract sense of the word, y'all were, you know, real superstars for us. I remember as a kid.
For a lot of people.
BLS.
For a lot of people.
All the urban radio formats, y'all were monsters. As a matter of fact, me and AJ were listening to Tyrese's remake.
It's just disgusted, man.
Of the other day, and I was like, I told him, I was like, no. He told me y'all were coming here. As I was listening to it, I was like, no. Atlantic Star made that record. That's a remake of their record, and indeed, it was. And I just knew that because y'all were so popular. I can't tell you how fondly people remember those songs.
Yeah.
I mean, they were family songs. They were love songs. They were songs, you know, that, you know, even as a adult male, you rock it by yourself. You know, and you drive to it. You know, I mean, Silver Shadow is always a good driving song, man. You could just rock it, and I think that's what's missing, you know, from today's R&B. You know, I mean, it was good music. It was music that just made you feel good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, how do you as an artist, you know, and you see everything that's going on, even with the politics, you know, and because they're looking at music like R. Kelly have a song, and I'm not dissing, you know, artists, but then you'll get 4 or 5 artists, if that's a hit, they make songs that sound just like the song that R. Kelly made. Right. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you would think R. Kelly sang those other songs because they sound just like that. You know, and as a songwriter, you know, how do you not get caught? How do you not get caught in that and then deal with the politics of the music industry? When, you know, it's just like rap music. We want you to rap like that. Right. You understand what I'm saying? We want you to rap like that. Right. How do you as a songwriter not get caught into that?
Well, they tried that with us too. We want you to sound like this and sound like that, but we had to stand our ground. Now, we came up with funk and you know, house music and all kind of stuff too. But when the public started hearing our ballads, that was it. They wouldn't let us get down. So we got stuck as balladeers or whatever. But the thing about today is that somebody sold the black community a lie, and they sold them something weird, because there's no more music in the music business.
Right.
Nobody. A lot of kids don't even know the names of instruments. It's like me telling everybody, I'm a football player, and if they ask me what is that, I don't even know that that's called a football. Right. But I'm out there on the field, and everybody's loving me and bigging me up and giving me $100 million, but the actual football players can't even get paid. Right. So it's really weird right now. In order to be a musician, you have to study music, at least a little bit. And you have to know something about music. And in order to be different than every other artist, you have to develop learn music and develop develop your style, and not be out there just for the hype and the fame and the glory, but not the art.
Right.
Because it's the art form that makes the people love you when you get out there. Your style and your gift and what you practice all these years to present it to people. And that's why people start sounding like everybody else, because they copy, and then they copy their music by sampling, taking chunks of their music and throwing a kick drum with it and spitting on top. And then when it comes to lyrics, I was working with young people trying to start a new label, and I was trying to show them how to write lyrics and the formula and the whole stuff, and it always would start out great, but then the attention span would die. Like,
right.
Well,
it's like, they're asking me why am I going through all of this,
Wow.
Because we're in the computer age,
Right.
where it's almost like, why would you paint that picture when you can just download it, already painted.
Right.
And when I first got into this new world, it was so strange to me. I'm like I was on the moon. I'm starting to get it now, and they almost can't help it because they're born into this.
Right, the technology is crazy.
When the technology thing was a gift and a curse. I started out as an artist, and then I as a rapper, and then I did the whole journalist thing, with the Source and Vibe, Village Voice and stuff, freelancing for everybody.
Right.
And then all of a sudden things went digital. And I was kind of like lost in there a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody, the publications that still were paying, now they were 6 months to a year back on their billing, so you wait for those big checks, and the online sites were not paying. You know what I'm saying? So it was just I had like a 2-3 year period that was very confusing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you either sell your soul or you maintain who you are. You know what I'm saying? And another example, we signed to the second label we were on. We signed to this label in Brooklyn, and their big hit was the Jungle Brothers' "Girl, I'll House You." So hip house started coming out. So they remixed our song. We did the song. We got our own thing, but Heavy actually came out first. So they didn't want to release that, so they remixed it and called it a house thing, and remixed it to a house song. I hated it. It was one of the worst things that ever happened to us. But they wanted to do it because they had a big hit with the Jungle Brothers. Okay. So they figured, so let's do this, and that was we hated that.
Right.
We hated it. They put it out as a single, and it was. I mean, some people liked it, but I hated that song.
Yeah, because you so used to being like we were saying, in a whole nother world, whole nother frame of mind, and for you, it really didn't do your thing any justice.
No. We have a question. Ask them what happened to Sharon Bryant, she can sing, and Barbara Weathers.
Sharon, I don't know if she lives in Greenburgh, but she's always around. As a matter of fact, she still does things with us every now and then. We just, a couple of years ago, did London, England together. And she's great, man. So she shared the mic with our female vocalist that sings with us. No problem. We love her. She loves us. She, I think, was touring with Dave Matthews Band. Have you ever heard Dave Matthews?
Yes.
And I know Sharon for years was doing jingles.
Right. Okay.
Which once you get in that circle, which is hard to get in. It's a great thing because you just sit back and then the checks start coming.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been trying to get in that. I've been trying to get the writing one.
Yeah. So she was having a pretty good life. So Sharon's really good. Barbara, I'm not exactly sure because we used to talk a lot at first after we broke up over the years, and then it got less and less and less. And we started talking once a year. Now we don't really hardly talk at all. But last thing I heard from her is I know she'd done a record about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know exactly what she's doing now, but I'm sure she's still, gigging wherever.
Right.
She's asked or whatever.
And another one of our listeners, Glenn Butler, he said his artist, Miss Irene Renee, has opened up for y'all. I don't know if you're familiar with
Irene Renee?
Yeah.
She did the park.
Oh, she did the park. Okay, yeah. We did Yosemite Park. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he got Glenn. You got artists, man. You never brought him on the show. Oh man, come on, man.
He's been pushing her for a minute. He been trying to
See, now you got to call us, man. He got artists, and he never bring them on the show. See.
Now he has been trying to, to get me to do something.
Now you've been that. See, that was your fault.
We haven't followed up. We have not. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm the editor in chief, so you know what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying. But when we got so much new stuff going on and so much corruption and stuff, it's hard to. I got a stack of stuff like that I need to go through. And,
Yeah.
You got the mayor locking the city council people out of the city hall. You know what I'm saying? You got to go deal with that. So it kind of take precedence.
So on the 22nd, you're having the album release party.
Yeah, CD release party. Yeah.
All right, and that's going to be at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Mm-hmm. And how can people get tickets? It's
Event.
Is Eventbrite? Yeah, it's Eventbrite.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Eventbrite.com.
Brenda, if you're listening, can you find that and post that, please?
DP Printing and Graphics.
Oh, there's Don Powell.
Don Powell.
Shout out to Don Powell.
IB Created. 109 South 4th Avenue, Mount Vernon. Creative Fingers Salon, 388 Tarrytown Road, White Plains. Salon 804, 2311 Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. Also by calling FCE 914-230-5002 and the legendary DJ Danny 914-471-2780, and you also catch him. And you can also catch him in Mount Vernon at Bobby's. You can also catch him if you're in Mount Vernon. You can catch DJ Danny at Bobby's.
No doubt. Yo, another person asked, how much of the unsung story was true, and how much did he have as well as telling the truth too? How much input did you have in telling the story? I guess that's what they're trying to say.
Well, with shows like that, you have to be as truthful as possible, because the producers want drama.
Right.
And if you're not given enough drama, then they'll try to make titles and word it in a way where to get viewers to want, oh shoot, what happened? Because people is weird that they want to know the sex life and the drama and the who did this to who for more than they want to know who wrote songs and whatever. It's crazy, but that's how it is. Drama sells. Mm-hmm. But of course, you're always going to have truth, and then you're always going to have fabrication going on. And then you're gonna have so much emotions, people feeling so much stuff, but then a lot of it is innocently. They could be saying something that's true, but innocently thinking that it is true.
Right.
For example, we had so many group members, like 9 members, and my business manager took my brothers and I, and we were dealt with sort of separately because we were the songwriters.
Right.
And so he based our revenues and our publishing money as leverage with the banks and stuff to get loans and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we roll up and with new cars, little Beamers and stuff, which they were all leased.
Right.
But when you're young and you're a group member and you got all these people, they didn't think you took all the money and went out and bought all these cars. And you can even show them the lease papers, but now everybody's blind.
Now
to
you
that.
being modest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when people are venting and stuff, they took the money and the record company did, they believe what they're saying is true, but they don't know the full
story.
Full story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one example of how things can get kind of twisted and then people's personal feelings can be so deep that they start. It's really weird because I'm having a relationship with a female vocalist, but I also got relationships with my brothers, and they're at odds here and there, and that's the after Atlantic Star, but the original Atlantic Star with all those members, you got 100 personalities that you're dealing with, and you got, if I'm the songwriter, which that's how it's always been. Nobody planned it that way. It's just the manager said, "Oh, you write all those songs, and nobody else knows how to write. They're gonna push me to write." So obviously, there's gonna be money that comes in for songwriting.
Royalties, yes.
But what happened was, me and my brothers was just keeping, and I can say this stuff. This is nothing crazy. We were only keeping our writers' royalties, but we were sharing our publishing with the whole group. I don't even know if to this day they even realize that. But sometimes you can be taken for granted when you do good and you're not showboating out there. People have no idea that I could be your saving grace. I'm just not boasting about it. But we actually took care of the group with our publishing, and of course we had to keep our writers' royalties. Could have kept our publishing too.
And a lot of people would have.
Most people would have. But we were like family. We grew up together, went to Woodlands,
But a lot of family members have done that to family members.
Yeah, even family members. But the thing is, after all this time, you grow up and you have time to think, and you realize it wasn't really like we thought it was. Everybody kind of fell back in love with each other, but I guess there's still members that still haven't changed their way of thinking, and that's understandable. Everybody's human.
Well, their perception is their reality. So
That's
one of the things I had to learn.
Right.
The person's perception is their reality. So
yeah. And then when you have a show like Unsung, they don't want to hear all this saucy goodness. Oh, we love each other, and oh, I love it.
No, they want to
hear some,
Days I wanted to kick his butt.
Right.
Tell us more about that.
Right. So if they don't get it from you, they're gonna go to the working members and get it from them, and so they can make their stories and their edits and cut it. But basically, they tried with us, but everybody was still saying y'all had the most positive ensemble I've ever seen. Everybody else had horror stories, and people either died or was on drugs or ended up wanting to kill each other and all that stuff, and ours really ended almost like a fairy tale. Not 100%.
Right.
But basically about 80% all good.
So let me ask you a music question. So a lot of music groups that were successful, you see them now, you never have any idea if they were successful. How have y'all been after after the music, after the group broke up and continuing on up to now? What have y'all been up to outside the spotlight?
We have been basically just gigging all over the place. We've been touring the States and around the world. But basically, we haven't been on any major tour. We call it spot dates.
Spot dates, right.
Where you may gig twice a month.
Right.
3 times a month. Or if you're in certain countries, you come all this way, so instead of doing one hit, we want to put together 3 or 4 hits while you hear that type of thing. Right. And that's how we've been maintaining, and also from the publishing, from songs still being played after 30 years or whatever. It's still, that's I'm still living.
Okay.
I haven't had a 9 to 5, thank God.
See, that's good. That's what I want to hear. You see people, you see them in the car wash 20 years later. What happened?
Right.
That was my favorite artist. What happened?
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with Stevie Wonder, and like he says, sometimes he wants to play new music, right? But people want to hear something that he wrote 45 years ago. Does that go, along with a lot of artists? Like they want to push the new music, but people want to hear the old music, so they play the old music. Do you have like a fight with that too, with the new, or you just like, hey, listen, man, I'm gonna play it. The people like it. I love it because I wrote it. But do you have a fight with that? That the artist in you to be creative and move forward?
Absolutely. That's a great question, because we go through that all the time. Even older songs that wasn't hits,
Right.
we don't even play. People go, no, they're hits on the album, but
Right.
they want radio
Hits, right.
So everywhere we go, people, when are y'all gonna play Let Me Down or more, but those songs wasn't, and we only got a certain amount of time on stage, so you got to pick, and that's what's good about us. We have people know that when they hear us, it's gonna be all top hits, because when you only got an hour, we got 100 songs.
Right. You can't play
everything.
Right. That's right.
So when it comes to new stuff, we're finally playing new stuff from the new CD, because our first single, My Best Friend, was released and going up the charts. And, so we started incorporating that into the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a song that we, that one is My Best Friend. That's like that's in between like Always and Secret Lovers as a duet.
Okay.
And you can catch the video on YouTube, but you got to put in the official video on My Best Friend. Mm-hmm. And then the next single is a club song. It's called It's Party Time. Okay. And we incorporated that into the show.
Okay.
And that's killing. Where first of all, people are shocked, like, y'all
do that.
dance song like that? It's like, that's Atlantic stuff. Like, yeah, we've been waiting to do this for years, yo. And especially overseas, like in Japan and stuff, I thought they was going to knock over tables and everything else.
It's so great.
Crazy.
My group came out in '88, and a rap group, and we can still do shows overseas, and it's amazing that they don't know. Like, you can be in a room with German people that don't know any English, but know every lyric of your song.
Yes.
And again, call out those titles that like they want to hear. You know that song? Like number 7 on.
That's how technical they are. That's right, man.
And sung it word for word.
That's
and
right.
then you go to speak to them afterwards, and they basically
speaking
have
a word of English.
they don't have no that blew me away.
That's
like,
absolutely true.
Yeah.
And we know, especially like songs like Always, it was #1 across the board, R&B, pop, and everything in America for about 3 weeks. The #1 song, but it went #1 around the world in different countries. Right. So when we're in places just like Japan, which is one of the most hardest languages in the world, when you compare it with English, they're bugging out and they're crying and their heads on each other's shit. And then I need you to, they get the
they got the cadence and the rhythm and
everything. But they get the translation on this CD, so they know what it's saying. So even if they can't sing exactly how you singing it, they get the message, they get the impact, and they even more heartfelt than American audiences. I mean, they go in full crying, full everything.
Another sister on the check-in said, "Love Me Down was the shit."
See, that's
bringing back some fond memories there. That worked. Yeah. No. We got you, sis. We know what you're saying.
We know what you're talking about. We get it.
Oh man.
But yeah, everybody. We gonna Can you send me a digital copy so we could post this?
Yeah.
We could definitely post it, because our researcher Brenda Crump texted me and asked me if we had a digital copy.
And FCE is First Choice Entertainment.
First Choice? Okay.
Yeah, that's me and the partner.
Okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
We're booking agents now. So
really?
We're going to some other stuff in Westchester.
Yeah, let us know, brother. You bring whatever you need to do. Our doors is open, man. I told you all the time, man. Our doors is open, man. Whatever you need to talk about. But we'll definitely post this, man, and I'm going to be there. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to be there.
I'm not shotgun.
I'm trying to be more outgoing. Get out the library.
But I'll be in the library all week. Be like, come on, man. Would you more scholarly work? Jesus, man.
Wait. I had to hook him up with Caitlin, the new trustee, and she had to call the person over. What section was that? The
Reference.
They had to open up the section and bring him in the section in.
Oh, in the history.
Well, he went in the section the library forgot, right?
They dusted our boxes for him.
Jesus.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's a pleasure to having y'all, man. I mean, you know, that's what the show is all about. You know, we try to give people information, you know, and show a different side of Westchester. You know, how black people are, because we don't have any outlets.
Right.
You know, we don't have and the owner Cruz, man. I mean, you know, he's been doing it, and
he holding him down.
The owner of this, man, you know, he's been holding it down, and it's a blessing that we're in here and we're able to give people information, and that y'all guys can come on and speak to the people.
Right.
You know, because we don't have it in Westchester. We don't really have any radio station or radio shows.
Right.
You know, that promote black life positively.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, positively. So, you know, we're glad to have your guys here to allow us to reach out to the public and let them know what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
man. I mean,
we thank you for what you're doing too, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I actually listen.
Okay.
Yeah, he be hit.
This is
Damon go way back.
Yeah.
This is a good thing, and I'm going to ask you guys real quickly if you can help me, because for 2 years I've been trying to figure out how to get to the young brothers up here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I was trying to start a label and working with a bunch of youth, and I used to ask them all the time, what is it with you guys where nobody can write anything positive? And I used to love rap when it first came out, because there was always issues they were talking about in politics, like in NWA,
right,
and all these different groups that were talking about life, you know, and itself, and relationships, and what have you. And so I'm asking them. I told them I'm gonna do a survey and go on the radio, and I'm gonna give some money. Between $100,000, $1,000, if you can come up with 10 groups that's not every word out of their mouth cursing, and and the subject is anything different than either hitting some fat booty or shooting somebody up, or
they can't do
somebody.
They can't do it.
But see, even when it was about that though. Take a record like OPP. He changed what the words meant. He didn't come out and say what those things were.
Right.
And there's certain things to the point that my stepfather used to always buy a bootleg T-shirt of the month. And he brought my mother a shirt and said, "I'm down with OPP." I sat her down. I played the unedited version, and my mother ain't never won.
Start packing your shit. You down with what?
But my point is, it was the bootleg T-shirt of the month. And all you heard in the I'm down with OPP. But you don't know where OPP meant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Right.
And
Exactly.
even the songs you used to listen to. Yeah, they were talking about things, but if you wasn't a certain age, you didn't realize.
It was kind of camouflage.
You wasn't realizing.
But,
so.
but we can't say, you know, I mean, they give an excuse. Well, this is what's going on in the hood. Yeah, but there's a lot of love in the hood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love in the hood too.
Yeah, right, and why can't they write about the love that's in the hood instead of the hate? See, that's what I don't understand.
My answer to that, like Flash and all of them that was from the hood, the originators in hip hop, they were from the hood, the worst parts of the Bronx. They made party records to escape the reality of the BS that they were dealing with every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They wasn't
Right.
making those kind of records. You know,
Right.
They were making party. So then you have people in the suburbs that ain't never seen none of this stuff trying to make up they gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because they think that's what hip hop. To the point that like you get a white guy like Vanilla Ice, he think he got to be black. He had this. Say he got cut on the way from school, and he was from the same area Luke was from, till he got exposed. But he thought that that's what it took to be a rapper, though, because that was this percent. You know, you had to be hard, and you had to. So he had to make up an image.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That, you know,
but we
our notions of manhood
right
have become so one-dimensional that we're very reluctant, even in our day-to-day. Many of us in our day-to-day interactions with others, we put on this kind of persona that is always very cool, very unemotional.
Right.
You know, when I think of myself when I'm in a club, D, you know how I am. I'm like this.
Hey, Brooklyn Bob!
Yeah, like no smile, nothing. The warmth. You know, and a lot of us are trapped by this image that we have of what it means to be a man, such that we cannot admit to feelings of tenderness or fear even.
Right.
Because we're more vulnerable.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of us don't seem to realize that that's an act that we may find it helpful to put on at times, but is only an act.
Right.
Right.
You know, for most of us, we're not just as,
like you said, one-dimensional.
yeah, one-dimensional.
That's what made Tupac great as an artist, and I'm sorry for all the hip-hop people. He's not one of the greatest rappers or MCs. But what made him one of the greatest personalities and rap personas, he was the last of the three-dimensional characters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He made a record talking about doing this and screwing your wife and all that.
Right.
But then about Dear Brenda, about, you know, she threw a baby in the garbage and, you know, that whole thing. And, you know, Dear Mama, I love you. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, you hit every...
But Tupac...
If you take a weak dude... and you put him in the corner, he could become a killer.
Yeah, but
if you take the hardest dude and his mom or his kid is dying, he gonna cry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so we have all of that in us.
Right.
And he was probably one of the last to show all sides.
Right.
Yeah, but Tupac, I mean, you gotta understand though, the difference in Tupac is that he was taught. He had that wisdom. See, a lot of these kids, they don't know history.
Mm-hmm.
See, Tupac understood the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But he was taught it, and he watched it.
He got it taught from the Panther side of it and
right.
from the street side of it.
Like, right.
I mean, he got one of the best educations. Like
right, but see, along with knowledge, it has to have education. Our children are not being taught our history. You know, not even in schools. You know, now they're not taught the history, so they can able to soak it up and put it on paper.
Right.
You know what we see is just YouTube, and they see all this. And they soak that up instead of soaking the positive side, soaking in our struggle, and that says I see that even being in law enforcement, young black law enforcement officers, they don't even understand the struggle that allows them to wear the badge and the uniform. Mm-hmm. So they're disconnected. Mm-hmm. So we have to start teaching our children our history.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a very good point. I just want to say something real quick to that. What I'm saying, and without getting politics, and I'm not even going to mention any names, there are certain superstar rappers who do know the history.
Yes.
Who do know the facts, who have all this stuff together. Mm. But whatever deal has been made
there you go.
With these guys to destroy the black community,
that's right.
They are still coming out, leading the youth deep into darkness, taking away all of our values out of the black community, been paid to do it, agreed to do it. Mm-hmm. I used to ask girls, are you a whore? No, I ain't no whore. You sure you ain't a hoe? No? You don't do X amount of, I can't say, but you don't do no. Then why do you love it and dancing to it? Hey, when they calling you hoes and bitches and this
that's
and that
right.
And you they gotta scratch their head and go, I never didn't ever even really think about it. It's because that's what's going on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, do you ever want to be with a guy that truly loves you or just wants to knock you up?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And then you stuck.
That's right.
And or whatever. So many things have happened to the black community, and nobody wants to write about anything that's helpful. Like I tell the kids, okay, you don't have to be uncool, but you ever think about one day just sitting down and writing something that kids, other young boys could look up to, that will help them have a good life, help them be respected by others, help them get our community back together, lead them down the right path? Nobody has the answer. And it's almost like everybody's scared. And then once in a while somebody will go, well, okay, we can't do that. We got to keep things. Well, why? Well, because... no, go ahead.
No, as a personal experience, I wrote an article for, I'm not sure if it was The Source or whatever magazine it was. I interviewed the rapper Scarface. And, you know, he has all these negative lyrics and stuff. This dude plays every instrument with strings. This dude was quoting the Bible about how God had got him through some serious situations. I handed in the article, his best friend had got shot coming out of a club with him, and the person who shot him ended up dead. They took those parts out and wanted me to go back about him being a person of interest in the shooting of his friend. And none of that part ever. I can't be, let's go about 18 years. I can't be the only person he ever told this to.
Right.
But you ain't never read this. You still saying, wow, 18 years later. Like, so it's not even, like sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's the editors and the publications. Like they thought that that's not what y'all wanted to read. That's what y'all would be interested in. So they took that part out. And, you know, he's got this rough image. So, you know, he's supposed to have been responsible possibly for the person, killing the person who shot his friend.
And that's,
So
well, I mean,
and that's what the story was. The story came more about that, which was only a paragraph, than everything that I had wrote about all this stuff about Scarface.
but that's, look.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, it frustrated the hell out of me, but, I mean, you know, what I'm going to do, they got the last edit. Like, now I have the last edit. So I can now let that get in there, and you can't do nothing about it. You understand what I'm saying? Which is a beautiful
but that's
thing
no
now.
different than News 12, you know, not coming to a event that's honoring black women. But if that same day, if it was a gun, if someone got shot, we couldn't have got rid of the van. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So I mean, you know, and I think that's why we have to try, you know, to control, you know, the information that goes to our children. You know, I want to ask you, like how much money is enough? You know, how much money do you feel is, or whatever artists, those artists, that they say, you know what, I made the money, now I'm going to help my people. I sold them out. Like how many more millions do you have to have until you wake up?
That's that question.
You know what I'm saying?
That question is the question, because I'm always asking that, and you know what the answer is? There is not enough, and the greed has been passed down into our community. So, and a lot of these guys, their kids are going to boarding schools and
of course,
in Europe
and they say I don't let my kids listen to that.
Yeah,
their own music.
Some of their kids don't even know that they even curse or they even call the girl a homo, whatever.
Right.
And a lot of these guys, and you probably know some of them when I say this, came out in the rap game, and now that they done and made their $500 million. They got board meetings with a whole white staff.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're talking more articulate than the
yes.
That's right.
And the kids are scratching their head going, wait a minute, is this our gangster who
Right.
so happened to that we followed all life, and then my brother's in jail over him telling me
that's right.
shoot everybody and
that's
all of
right.
this, and he's talking more articulate than them, making movies and selling.
Every
you know what I'm saying? And kids,
sells vodka and all
more
types of
articulate than him.
That's right.
But all of our kids got to do the drive-bys and go to prison, and the other thing is, we got the most brilliant kids in the world. It's always been like that since Africa, since Egypt, since whatever. But our community's been so dumbed down. Now, part of the coolness is no reading. Don't read. That's not cool. Right. Don't want to be a doctor. That's not cool. Right. Don't want to be. We've gotten to a point where the only thing in our community is either we're going to be a basketball player or a rapper. And I'm sorry. And I was just looking at the news today. The stats on CNN. I mean on HBO Sports. 1% make it.
That's right.
1%.
That's right.
Of the kids that got their make it do basketball.
That's
players.
right.
And the same thing in rap. Everybody's got their mixtape. Everybody's gonna be a superstar.
Right.
And you can even hear some of these mothers, but honey, fall back on you know, you're kind of talented with this. Why don't you? And nah, that's, and only maybe half of that makes it to be actually get on the radio and be the superstar. But you have to be connected with that other side, and they don't realize that.
That's right.
And then the ones that's hearing about all this new, what you got to be connected with, the choices with, no, I'm going to be with God, I'm not going to be with Satan. But then a lot of kids that's never had God even mentioned in their house.
They going straight
to
Satan. They going straight to Satan.
And the stuff that they got to do, that they
that
they would have to do.
And that's a whole nother show.
We had a conversation with Jeff Red. Me and Jeff Red, we had a long conversation about that. But I give you another one about statistics. So Mount Vernon is number 4 or 5 in high schools nationally that produce NBA players, but had a 47% graduation rate last year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
crazy,
I mean,
right?
So it's just like, we have our priorities, and they invited me. I don't know why they keep doing this. They invited me again this year for Career Day at Mount Vernon High School. But one of the things I talked to them, I'll be like, yo, it's cool to be that rapper. It's cool to be that. But you know what's cooler though? You know what they all have to do? They all have to give their money to a white lawyer, to a white accountant. Like sometimes the best thing you can do for hip hop is become an accountant. Like yo, for real, like seriously,
keep track of the money.
Right.
You're a hip hop accountant and you doing all their taxes. And
you're right.
You keep, dude, like you gonna eat more than the artist.
Yeah, well, how many?
Break it down into
Wait,
like that.
But how many black artists, died broke? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many black artists?
famous
How many
artists.
black artists died broke, man? I mean, because they
James
didn't
Browns
understand.
and the
They
Sammy
didn't
Davis
understand.
Jr.'s,
They didn't understand finances.
Right. That's right.
They didn't understand the music industry.
Sammy Davis Jr.'s story was sad though, because they wouldn't pay him what they were paying the white members of the rap.
Frank Sinatra.
But he made them say that they did. Now, what person's not going to? So
he
when
can
they
have self-respect.
So when they filed their taxes, they only gave him 10, but they said they paid him 100. So you times that to all the places. Now he owe taxes on all that stuff.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Now they taking a little bit that you do got.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I understand what he did, why he did what he did, but he didn't understand the other aspect of that.
Right.
And if you don't have that accountant, as you see his white counterparts in the Rat Pack didn't say, hey, Sammy, don't do that. They didn't school him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he died broke and in debt.
And when you beat the game and you do make it and you keep your $500 million and you reaching $1 billion, like Prince won his case.
Right.
Yeah.
Right after that,
They knock him off.
Okay, you see.
Hey, man.
That's where he died.
But
And look at
right.
Michael.
Same thing with Michael Jackson.
Look at same thing with Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson musically, Michael Jackson. You know how many catalogs he had?
That's what
Do you
I
know
was
what
about
he
to
was
say.
saying?
He owned everybody's catalog.
The
Everybody.
money he made, and it was just like there was certain things that he made moves on that was just like kind of. The people didn't even know. See, that was the problem when they were worried about him marrying Elvis' daughter.
Right.
That wasn't a white black thing.
She
owned the biggest part of his catalog, and he was and he owned part of it already.
That was a business deal.
And he was like, yo, they was worried that he would get that part of the catalog, the most valuable part from her.
That's right.
That's what they were worried
Doing
about.
your homework.
Yeah,
That's
right. That's right. That's right.
But how many black? You know the story of Sam Cooke and James Brown when they came to them with the proposal, and y'all can't do this thing called publishing. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait a minute, it's not illegal to grab all my black talent and actually pay them something. We started a publishing company, all the black talent but see, we as black people don't realize when we start talking like that, we already writing our death warrant. Because we have we don't have any kind of society or anything of our own that protects us. So you got to play the game.
Man, we need. I've been telling people. We need like a black mafia. I'm straight up. No, I say it. No, we do because see,
the black van crew. They just
I always say the black. I always say the black van crew because of the fact that for us to get out of this struggle, right? That's revolutionary thinking. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine, right, and he was telling me about dealing with licensing companies. With black universities and how they were white. Now I'm sitting here. I'm like, yo, dude, why don't we form a company and deal with the black university.
Yeah.
We black.
Right.
What the hell they know about marketing black schools?
Right. So he giving these checks to these
Right.
entities.
But guess what? That's revolution.
Yep.
That's revolutionary thinking. That's dangerous. That's dangerous thinking.
That's right.
You understand? That's dangerous thinking.
And
Because
even if they let you have a black token, they still gonna control it.
Well, see, and that's the other thing I wanted to say.
Right.
Like, okay,
Right.
now I'm glad you said that. Like, everybody talked about, Jordan made, and I forgot what year it was, but back then it was a big, he made $50 million from Nike. Like, at that time, that was like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
at that time.
Right.
But Nike made $500 million
Right.
off Jordan. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And they allowed Jordan to exist because that meant 100 other young black men thought they were going to be Jordan.
That's right.
I'm no disrespect to LeBron, and I am a LeBron fan. He signed his deal 10 days before graduating high school. Almost $100 million deal. What did that tell a whole bunch of people? What I need to go to college for?
Yeah, right.
You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
That's
He didn't even
that's-
graduate high school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he hadn't been. He had a $100 million deal on guaranteed. He hadn't touched a pro court. He hadn't been drafted by a pro team. He didn't get his diploma yet from high school. You understand what I'm saying? And he had this $100 million deal. But those deals, and not to say he's not worth it, but those deals are allowed to happen because it makes dreamers of $100 million
Right.
in
Right.
the
They keep
hood
that
thinking
dangling.
that they're going to be that.
Right.
You understand? Knowing that they're never going to be that.
And it works twofold because it discourages them from going on to be a doctor or a lawyer
Right.
or
That's right.
anything outside of basketball or rap.
Right.
That's
right.
too hard.
And so it's always a trick bag. We have to find a way to get out the trick bag, and one of the main ways is we have to stop, break, reset,
Right.
and go back to the old ways of raising and teaching
That's right.
our kids because they're being taught by everything but us.
Right.
And we can't never get ahead because we don't have anything that protects us when we stand up for ourselves and say, listen, I worked for a dime, I want my dime. I worked for $10, I want my $10. I don't want a half a cent or 0.9% of a penny
Right.
when I work for $10.
Right. 0.9.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stop and do my own thing.
Right.
And I'm gonna grab all people that look like me, that are all talented, and start my own network, my own company, and then we're gonna do it ourselves. Thank you. But then when you start talking like that, you're moving over into our territory, and now we're not gonna be nice.
I used to get in trouble at those seminars, those music seminars. There's one group they would have talking and how he got the deal and everything. And he was like, we got 10% of our publishing. I said, no, you gave away 90%. You walked in with 100%, dude. He said, they gave us. No, that's what he said. They gave us 10% of our publishing. No, you gave them 90%.
That's
Right.
how it's
Right.
worded.
Right.
You
You know
gave
what
them
I'm
90.
saying? And then people were mad that I spoke like this because, that person's a big star now, but they were just start. But still, that's the truth. Someone has to say that to them.
Yeah.
Someone has to put it in that
That's
perspective.
Right. That's right.
But I always go back. We have to control our institutions. We have to figure out some way as a people, how do we control our institutions? Because if we don't control our institutions, and starting with education, we have to begin to control our education. Now, like in Greenberg, they said, what is that? Edgemont, Lodgemont, which
Edgemont.
they get ready to pull out.
Trying to pull out. Yeah.
Right. They saying that's $17 million that's going to come out of the tax.
Out of the city of Greenberg?
Yeah.
Out of town.
Out of the town of Greenberg. So basically, it's the white folks pulling out away from the black folks. That's what the bottom line is.
Like part of Bronxville.
Right, and just like I told them, let them go if they don't want to be a part. Because Westchester is becoming more segregated as it is. But if we control it, then we can control what we teach our children.
Right.
And we can control their minds so they can think so they can think more.
Right.
We have to begin to. It might have to go back to say I don't mind. As long as you respect me, but as long as we start raising our children to understand that they could be more than what they see on TV.
That's my hope.
And I didn't know till I started dealing with the police brutality thing, and I'll be honest, I was like, damn, I should become a lawyer because I didn't know how much money they got paid. These police brutality cases, man, the lawyers walking away,
That's his,
yeah, that's what.
And it's funny. And you got
I'm
lawyers.
like, yo,
and we got
I'm
lawyers.
in the
And we got
room.
lawyers that we won't even say no name, who don't even have the best interest of the family involved and won't fight the fight all the way. Because they got $75,000.
Right, and they would.
they
And
made their money.
that's what I'm saying. Like I read one lawsuit. It was a civil case, right? And they settled for 308. The lawyer got 120 out of that.
Yeah, 33%, at least 33%.
The lawyer got 120
or more.
See, we got to teach our
It's a third
children
or more.
to become lawyers, and not only become lawyers just for the money part,
Please.
but we need lawyers legally
We need 'em.
to help our children and our businesses.
We need them. We need
That's
them.
what I'm saying.
And our
We give out-
businesses.
that's what I was telling kids. You give your money, all these black athletes, all these black musicians, all these black rappers, whatever, they got a white accountant, if they got any of the stuff anyway. If they got any of the stuff. It's usually a white accountant, there's a white lawyer, a white, everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like you go all through the line.
A white finance advisor.
Right.
Everything.
Business managers.
That's right.
Right, business managers, right.
Right. And then
And there's this one dude. I wouldn't say this one dude. They made a movie, but it was not exactly on him. It was off of him, and he was a sports therapist to the athletes when they got hurt. Yo, his house is flyer than all the athletes' houses that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because every time a LeBron or a big name Nolan Ryan or anybody he's the person they got to
the
come
one,
see
yeah.
so they can get back in the game.
Right.
That's millions. When he's driving, if he go to the party with them, same thing like when I brought you to the Dave Dance thing, they was like, oh, who he? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when he go to the party, he driving like the rappers. Like, they driving he's driving better than them. Like and he did his thing. He got his thing in sports medicine. He got his own company. He don't work for nobody. And he is killing it. Because there will always be injuries.
Right.
And you always got to get back in the game.
Right.
But another thing that someone brought it up to me a while ago, and I didn't notice that. Now, in the 60s and the 70s, especially in the 60s, the civil rights movement was funded by a lot of actors and artists.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Even like Harry Belafonte is known to carrying Martin Luther King, paying for his family, paying for his bills and stuff like that. And what these white accountants and white lawyers have tricked, instead of giving it the money to organizations like the NAACP or different organizations to help fight the fight, they say, well, start your own nonprofit. Start your own nonprofit.
Advise them to stay away from that.
Right.
No, you don't.
No, but they tell them to start their own. They tell them to start their own.
Right.
Now you got a tax shelter, you got this, you put your homeboy in charge of it, and then they end up like Mary J. Blige with her person that messed up all the money.
With Wyclef.
With Wyclef, and the tax people coming after you, instead of just taking that money, giving it to a worthy organization that's out here doing something, that has a history of doing something, and helping them that way. But now they're teaching them to start. Right. They're teaching them to do their own, with really just employing their friends, and they're not doing anything.
And you talk about education and HBCUs. If we hire the black colleges.
What Bob just quit. Bob was like,
You got a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's one of the a fundamental problem that we have just with our philanthropic giving is that everyone wants to give someone a scholarship. And damn it, there's more.
I wasn't talking about scholarships. I was talking about giving to the school, though.
It doesn't matter. We have more needs than just merely being better educated. You have right now you have a whole generation of overeducated people. I will not count myself in those ranks. Whose skills and talents
are not being let in.
That's right. Are not being let in to address some of the needs that we have that go beyond the educational system. And these are the things that we kind of talk about in some of the projects that we work on, whereby we're looking to get some real leadership, local leadership in our communities. And we need folks to take funding those kind of efforts seriously. Because without some sort of organic leadership in our communities all across the United States, it's going to continue to deteriorate.
Right.
And it's too bad, because I do see that this is a tendency for people, the Carter
Foundation.
Yeah, the Carter Foundation. Everyone wants to, and we're going to give people. No, there's more to be done than just sending an 18-year-old off to college. The 18-year-old, 22-year-old college-educated people are not going to be sufficient to solve the problems that we have.
That's true.
Right.
Especially now with the millennium age group that's voting for Trump and stuff like that. It's crazy. But you making a point about the over educated. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, man. We talked about all the dumbed down black community.
Right.
Even though they're brilliant, they're dumbed down. And like you were saying, if they want to do anything that's gonna better them, they get this. Oh no, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Everything.
Right. Yeah, I stay away from that. That's a little too
stay away
controversial.
from that.
You don't need that the hassle. Yeah,
because that's going to be. They know that they'll better themselves.
Right.
And they don't want that to happen. But when I look
strengthen themselves in the community too. And strengthen the community. Yeah.
When I look at politics and I look at you're talking about the really educated black, because there's a lot of truly really educated black people that's out here. But they're working on these remedial or these jobs way beneath them because they're not allowed, like everything else, to get into the system to change things, to change the world, to change the country, to change. There's so many black people that's qualified that could be leaders, that could be organizers, that could go in. Like, for example, if you go on YouTube or on my page, people send me stuff. There are black entrepreneurs, there are black geniuses that's coming up in the science lab with ways to get rid of diseases and ways to do this and ways that you catch it on the internet, but they would never show you on NBC News or not even CNN and nothing. And I'm finding all these young...
Not when the pharmaceutical companies is one of their biggest advertisers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's so many of us that could change this mess that we're in.
Well,
but they won't allow us because it's a big game.
You see what Bill Cosby went through the day when he tried to buy NBC.
Oh,
that's too much.
That's another show right there.
He tried to buy NBC. Like he tried to buy NBC.
Why do you think they witch hunted him?
Yeah, no, but not only that, though, all of a sudden his son just got a hit and run. Nobody knew nothing. Nobody seen nothing. Nothing. That was
we
like
talked about what you're saying for a month.
Yeah.
We talked about this topic, and you know what? Again, I know so much about the movie industry and the record industry, but I dare not say things and mention names.
Right.
I'll tell you, he didn't do anything more than the big shots over him is doing. As a matter of fact, he's doing less than them freaks.
That's right. That's right.
But when it's time, when you start standing your own, you promised me this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm Bill Cosby. I'm on the same level as you guys.
No.
It took you all these years to realize, no, you're not.
That's when you get that nigga wake-up call.
Nigga wake-up call.
So here's your wake-up call.
That's right.
We've done 100 times worse than you, freaky-wise, political-wise, whatever it might be, but you're being witch hunted right now. And guess what? A lot of these shows, talk shows and stuff you see on TV, the rule is they're being hired. They have to go against him. Even if they're sitting there and they're for him, they'll get fired if they don't have a little section when it comes in. Oh, yeah, that was disgusting. How can he? But they may know better.
Right.
They may know that the ones that's accusing him probably have done worse. They know that industry that they're in is nothing but freaks.
Well, I mean, take a look like this. Like you got a president, right, who has a history of talking like this and a history of doing these things, and all that stuff came out, and he was allowed to run for president.
Right.
This is the accusation. We just want the accusation state. And Bill got accused, no criminal charges. Yo, they started taking honorary doctorates from him. They give him $1 million back though. But they start taking honorary doctorates. You know
right. We're taking his name off this building.
Yeah.
But you can't have your money back.
Yeah. and now we have this individual as president.
Yeah. And
who's that has a history of talking like this, a history of disrespecting women like.
Right.
Even evangelicals that's supposed to be
they didn't even denounce them.
Christians. And this is what kills me about this
Yeah, you can talk, man.
This is the show.
This is the show to say it, brother. You don't understand. We rolling right now.
This is what we do. This is what we do.
He's like, yeah, this is the show. You can say it, brother.
This is the time when some politicians be like, I gotta go. It's been Some of the
no, this is the show to talk.
Negro opinions that can't be into too many. This is the time they leave. Right?
No, we keep it 100 on the show. You can say whatever you want. Because this is the conversation that black folks don't hear a lot, on radio in Westchester County. Right. We talk about it. We talk about it in the barbershop. We talk about it in our home. Right. But I think we also need to have it, where people.
On MSNBC with this.
No. Listen. You know how many times MSNBC, CNN has called me on to talk about police cases, and you talk to the producer on the phone first, right?
Screen you,
right.
Screen it, yeah.
And then they said, "Huh?" And I let them have it. The history is racist. Police departments is racist. It's based the DNA of law enforcement. Oh, okay, never mind. Only Al Jazeera was having me on. You understand? Because I didn't fit that mold of a black cop that they wanted to talk about, or a black law enforcement officer that they wanted to talk about police and black community relations. And I met some other people that were on and got kicked off. They didn't even let me on. But I know some cats that got on and then got put off because I didn't fit the narrative that they actually want the people to hear. So this radio show is for us to talk about actually what actually need to be talked about. There's a lot of hypocrisy, and there's even hypocrisy in religion.
Amen.
They know I call them. I call the preachers out if I have to because we got to change our community.
Yeah, man.
We really have to change our community and stop living in a fantasy land like everything's okay. It's not okay. Yeah. We had a black president, and he wasn't. And some people say we had the first biracial president. You understand? Because he didn't really stand up on black issues like he should have.
Right.
And we're feeling the backlash. We had that grace period, but we ain't do nothing with it. We thought we won the $1 million prize because Barack Obama was in the presidency.
Right.
And then when people spoke out against him, we got ostracized from our own people.
Right.
And then you gonna tell me a white woman gonna be better than the black president?
Right.
That live in Chappaqua, she don't even know me. How she know Greenberg? She ain't never been in Greenberg. She ain't never went to the center and got in the pool. You know what I'm saying?
With the 0.003% black people.
Come on, man. Don't pull that on me.
With the point, Chappaqua with the 0.003% black people.
Right.
And that's Vanessa Williams' family. And that's Vanessa Williams' family. You think I'm playing?
Wait, is she the only one there? Her family.
That's her family. That's her family.
And then she gonna come and know about Manhattan Avenue. You know what I'm saying? She don't know nothing about Manhattan Avenue.
Yeah, I got a couple of comments, and then I want to do last words.
Okay, man.
Brenda was like, AJ Woodson, David K. Jones. Oh my God, you're so on point about these entertainers misleading our youth, and about the entertainment business, the realities of life regarding what black men need to do to succeed in the white man's world. Najee, she said, yes, dangerous to the status quo. Michael Rencher said the movement must be televised and broadcasted. Andrea Brown said, so proud of you, speak the truth. Any other comments real quick? Shout out to Yolanda Collins.
Hey, Miss Brown, how you doing?
Brenda, just so you know, Brenda has posted various pictures and YouTube videos of y'all local family. Anybody who doesn't know who y'all are, they just click on one of those. She got a picture of the 9. Yes, it was a 9-member group. She got a picture of all 9 of y'all. So it's like, yo. But, it's real. I enjoy doing shows like this. Everything has politics in it, but, we able to get away from the local politics and talk, and we able to spotlight individuals like yourselves. So, like I said, are Westchester legends. I'm sorry, like I wrote for the Long Island edition of the Village Voice when I lived in Long Island. Everything had to be about Long Island, but you still covered national news. But you always try to find a Long Island angle. Right. So on top of what we do, I try to bring that to Black Westchester to always uplift You know, it's good to talk about what other people are doing everywhere else.
Right.
You know how many people we got in Westchester? You know what I'm saying? I mean, black people that doing the damn thing in Westchester.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not even just the music thing. The unsung hero that's been holding it down in the community for years that most people don't even know his name. Right. I mean, you know, they don't get no press or nothing.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of people we try to highlight. Right. And we got to use whatever this platform that we've been blessed with to do what we do. So.
Right. And it's, you know, every interview it's about the music and it's about the lyrics and you know, thank God for that, because people always want to go off into so much other stuff, but the stuff that we had a pleasure talking with you guys today is real, and we can get even 1,000 times deeper. That it's a whole nother show, right? But
you listen, doors is open. Doors is open, man. Just he know how to get it. Just hit whenever y'all want to come on, man. The doors is open, right? And we could talk, because this is the type of talk that we need for our community. Right. When people see brothers like you, brothers like your brother, and people from the community having real talk, and then we could try to find solutions. Right. You know, try to find solutions for our community, and that's what it's all about. Right. You know, because we got to break down borders too. Right. It can't be a Greenberg problem or a Mount Vernon problem. It's us as black people. Right. You know, it's our problem, and that's what we try to do also. Period. Yeah.
And when I'm urging everybody, please come out to this listening party.
Yes, please.
Because one of the things we're going to do, one of the big DJs from, can I say another?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can say another radio show.
From WBLS, Jeff Fox is going to be doing a live interview with us over the air. And we're going to be talking about, we're not getting deep into politics, but we're going to be, it kind of leads that way when you talk about the songs and the lyrics, because we've metamorphosized into something different now. We're not just balladeers. Kicking love songs. We're talking about a lot of issues. It's still song form that makes it pop or makes it digestible. Right. But at the same time, these songs, because I want to gear the young black people into lyrics again and meaningful stuff. Yes. Helping people. And, and helping your family and helping people love each other again. That's not like the father's over here and comes to see the kid once a month and baby daddy, baby mama, you know. These songs and this record is very valuable, and I want all of y'all to please come out and be a part of this party, and especially you ladies, because y'all are the soul of the raising of the family.
That's Absolutely. Right. That's right.
And this is really an important thing. It's more than just the music, and it's going to be a lot of fun, you know, and dancing with DJ Danny and the whole stuff. But you know, it's an important thing as black people, and especially I want younger black people to be there as well. Parents, bring that next generation, bring them there, let them hear this music, because a lot of the music is really musically in the hip hop vein, but it can't have Atlantic Star music over top of it.
And the music journalist in me is not going to let you leave without name 2-3 songs and what they're about, or what people can expect from this album. What can they expect from, you know, we know the group, but what can we expect from this album?
Well, the most important song I think on this CD is called "This Is My Life," and when I wrote this thing, I wanted it to be a message to the youth, and the beat is crazy when you hear. That's the one that everybody picks first when they go, that's gonna be. Even the kids go that. But what happens is, I want y'all to get with this music and be like, But when you realize what you're chanting, you're gonna be chanting, "This is my life, and I refuse to waste it. You only get one. I'm gonna do something great. I can taste it, and they'll remember my name when I'm gone." Wow. And the whole song talks about getting your life together, doing something great, getting positive. And I think it's the most important song on the record as far as the image you want to portray to the youth. And then there's a lot of love songs. It's not just the basic love song. It gets deep into relationships and a lot of stuff is even inspirational, because we've taken God, the Creator, out of everything, and now everything is just so dark and satanic. That's right. That's another reason why we're losing our black community. This is really a black issue. You know, that we're really dealing with. This record is popping. It's for everybody, but black people, when they hear this thing, they'll really be able to relate to it. And I'm hoping at least the parents can relate and say, hey, I want y'all to come listen to this Atlantic STARR record. The music sounds like kind of what y'all would do, but I want y'all to hear these lyrics.
That's right.
Because they're throwing love on y'all. They're loving the community. And we loving the women especially, but without being derogatory.
Right.
So come out to this thing, man.
How many tracks?
It's 15 songs.
15 songs, okay.
15 songs. So hopefully this record will just go on forever.
And
like
just
Thriller.
for, and I find this as a former artist, well, I guess you're an artist, you're always an artist, but as your fans, once they hear a certain sound, like I found this in Mary J. Blige, when she finally got happy and shit, her fans was like, well, what the hell? They wanted her to go through some shit again. Like, they could be happy for her being happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So sometimes your fans don't want you to grow. Some fans want to keep you back to what they So is there anything reminiscent of for those fans on this new album?
Like I was saying in other interviews, we did not disturb the integrity of Atlantic STARR at all. You're gonna get what you've always known from us, but then there's more. And a lot of people, when they put out new records, when they make comeback records, they say that, oh yeah, this is the best record we ever did, and there's more. But I really mean this. There's the record is called Metamorphosis, and that's because we've taken it to another place now. We realize if you really want to have a really big record, it has to be more than just your fan base. But also, it's like you are so serious about these young people and getting them back on point and making us have a bomb black community again that the world used to know, that you're going to have to come to them, at least with the beat, or at least with So we tested this thing before we put it out. We let a lot of young people hear it, and they picking tracks. Yo, that's the bomb. How can that be y'all or whatever? Right. But then the topping still has all Atlantic STARR, orchestrations and all the musicians on it, but the lyrics. And I remember recently, about half a year ago, we did the first listening party in Detroit. And the kids, the waiters, their kids and everything, and when we were done about to leave, they all came around and was answering these questions. That one kid, that one jam, number 4, who wrote that? Yeah, because that's what I be trying to say to people. But, but nobody. See what I'm saying? This is why it's so important. It's also dangerous because the people that's trying to keep the black community down, of course, is going to hear it and be like, okay, we can't let these guys come out and be saviors to what we're trying to dumb down.
Right.
Now let me ask you. So this is your release party. Is that also the release date? When is this released?
Basically, the record kind of has been released, but not the single was released, but not the whole CD. So this is basically going to be like release date as well.
So the single is digitally is available everywhere.
Right.
If I want to buy the single, where do I go? Because I'm hearing.
You can go to iTunes. My manager has all of them. I think CD
Baby.
Send them to us.
All of them. Yeah, we'll send them to you.
Listen, and I'll put it down under there. So
yeah.
And then after the release party, the entire album will be released and available for sale.
Right.
On all those same things. Now, I know that's digital. Will it also have the copies, the store copies?
Yes. We after, I don't know how much time afterwards, but it'll be in places like Best Buy and stores like that. They can because that's my thing. I kept stressing to my organization, we have to have
because you have a fan base. You have a fan base that there's some people that I'm cool, but they're not gonna click that thing for 99 cents or $5.99.
Right.
It's still not really there, and they need that CD in their hand.
Tangible in their hand.
That's
right. Because they want to see the people. They want to read.
They want to read the credits. They want to read the credits.
Album, liner notes and all.
Right.
How you used to do when you got music.
Like how you used to do. You got to think about your fan base. You got to first and foremost because these are your supporters.
But it's a digital age. You got to be up to the date.
As well.
Because a lot of people ain't move up, and like I said, they get lost.
Right.
So okay, so we got the release date. We got the release party on the 22nd of.
Yeah, Brenda
April.
posted it.
Okay, and I got it on the screen.
Yeah, Brenda posted it too.
Yeah, everybody listening. We got a lot of people who listen from all over Westchester. We got. I'm just mentioning that we're going to be here. You know, like sometimes people listen. This is how you know when people listen to you. So yeah, we got Chris Latimer. Oh, that's good. And Atlantic Star. And then 5 minutes later, wait, Atlantic Star? like that. That was the conversation with like several people. Wait, this Atlantic Star, and then they play the song. So there's a lot of people who definitely checking for y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I had one friend, and she will remain nameless. She was like, "Oh my God, I love them." She said, "Can I just come stay in the room, and be a groupie?" Yeah, she was like, yeah. She'll remain nameless.
Yeah, we ain't gonna say that.
So it wasn't even. It wasn't just a black thing. It was like, across the board.
That person you're invited to come out and take pictures on the 22nd.
Yes. So this is what I say to everybody listening, yo. We got some Westchester artists here, some artists with some substance.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We need to now see. This is how you change things in the music business. It's also how you change things in voting. You know what I'm saying? Your candidate might lose. But like,
Caitlin said, wait. Caitlin Gleason said that was me.
Okay, well, that was her.
She said that was me.
Library trustee Caitlin Gleason, that was her. I said,
well, you invited Caitlin. You invited on the 22nd, Caitlin.
So we know
You're invited, Caitlin. Do I need a press pass?
See, but we have a group. Artists of substance, are homegrown, and like I was saying, when we got a candidate, your candidate might lose, but if your candidate gets 40% of the vote, and that politician was specifically talking about one thing, the winning politician has to consider, let me look into this, because that's 40% of the people that feel that to get your attention. Right. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with the music business, like things move, like you start moving this, digitally, you start moving this, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's more stores are going to carry. You start selling it out in stores, more stores are going to start carrying it. More local venues are going to be like, you know what? We need to get them here. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we control it as fans. You got to support. We have to support our artists. We don't support our artists, especially our black artists. We don't support them. Amen. We play music. We get them. They get us through all this stuff. We talk about how they saved my life and all this other stuff. They put something else out. You want to download it for free. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. The MP3, I gotta get a freebie, right? The artists don't get paid for that. It's the artists put their work in. You know what I'm saying? Now this is the artist part of me talking. This the struggling artist part of me talking. So, that's good. You know what I'm saying? The artists don't get paid for that. You know what I'm saying? So you really feel the artists support the artists, and this is how you can support. Go to their function. Buy their CD. You know what I'm saying? Share this with your people, and don't let 15 of your friends double copy of it. Make them go out and buy their copy too. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage everybody to come out on the 22nd and come out in numbers and show y'all say y'all love this group. Show them. Yeah. Because that's my whole thing is it sound good. Let's see what it look like. You know what I'm saying? Like I can, and then one thing I've been able to say, I get props all the time. I have never found a way to this day to accept no mortgage person, no rent person to accept props for payment. So, you making a good point right there. So I appreciate the props. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that don't pay the bills though. But now come out and support them. Damien, Rob, any last words, real quick? And I mean,
listen. Only thing I gotta say, and if my wife's listening, she gonna have a long day on the 22nd, man, because she gets an award. The 3rd annual Will Du Bois Veterans Appreciation Brunch Memorial Fundraiser, and she's going to be recognized that day, so she tells me, and that's April 22nd from 12 to 4. See, then we're going to come home, we old people, we got to take a quick nap, right? We're going to get up, change clothes, and we're going to come out and rock with Atlantic Star. And that's how it's going to be on the 22nd. But I think your brother's coming out. Like I said, our door is always open, man. Anytime you want to come and you want to preach and you want to talk, you come. Listen, man, you come. because our door is open for you, man. And I think people, what you have accomplished and putting God first too, I think that's a shining light for people also that they need to hear, that they don't have to sell their soul to the devil. You know, and they can keep God in their life and still make it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, man plans and God plans, and God is the best of planners at all times. So we gotta put God in what we do, and I think you know, that's why the community is with it, because we haven't done that. But like I was saying, I want to thank you again. And it's going to be shout out to all the brothers, man. Conscious brothers, man. It's going to be a great day, 22nd. Get to see all the homies from Greenberg, man. It's going to be a good day. My wife might be a little sleepy that day, but we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. Dr. Bob.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you guys that it was a pleasure having you here in the studio and echo Damon and AJ's sentiments, and welcome you back anytime. And tell all the audience members that we'll see you again next week.
Until next week, peace.
Peace. Beautiful. Time to get it right on time, too. Ain't no music. It ain't music.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it, and are not afraid to say it. 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 And I'm not afraid to say it.